Hey guys, it is Admin. I'm here in the arena selection area of Zelda Battle Arena. This is episode 1, and today we're going to be explaining how our randomized waves work. So let's quickly jump into the arena and get started. We will be talking about these portals in a future episode, but today we're talking about random mob generation. So let's quickly... Game mode 1. Okay, let's get started. Before I actually show you the redstone, I'm going to do a quick overview of what the redstone actually does. So, for any player that is in game mode 2, so adventure mode, it will detect that they're in here, and then it will start counting down. There is a timer running in the background, but at some point, it will start counting down the waves, and then when they actually start, a random amount of mobs will be spawned in. Now, these obviously will try to kill you. If they do, then you get teleported out. If they don't, then you obviously killed them all. So if you did kill them all, it detects that there are no skeletons there, and then starts the next wave. It will also start the next wave if you have taken more than a minute to kill the mobs. Also, if there are no players in the arena, as you can see when I updated my game mode, that it despawned the skeletons. So now that we know what it does, let's take a look at how it does it. So if we go through the arena, we have the actual redstone right here. So, let's actually break this down. It can be broken down into, I think, 4 circuits. So, these circuits are this right here, the randomizer, this right here, which is the mob spawning system, and this right here, the timer. Some sub-circuits are this, which is not being used. Never mind, ignore that. And this right here that gives you your wave reward after you die. So, let's start with the randomizer first, as it is the simplest, and then move on to the spawning and then the timer last. Let's see the redstone in action before we actually explain how it works. Now, we already saw what it does up on the surface, but it's cool to watch it from down here. To do this though, we'll want to change the difficulty to peaceful, so that the skeletons do not actually appear up there. So everything kicks off with this command right here, where we're going to execute an armor stand that is up over in that corner, to then add 1 to its total players. So you can see if I were to do this, it executes that there is 1 player in the arena. Now what I mean by there being 1 player in the arena is, it is basically asking all of the players in the arena to add 1 to its total score, which then essentially pings the players to then figure out how many there are in the arena. So say that I could just set this value to 50 to simulate there being 50 players. And we'll see lots and lots and lots of skeletons spawning over there. Now an interesting thing to note, it is very random. And another thing you can note, there is between 1 and 2, well 1, 2, or 3 skeletons spawning in each location. And the last thing to note is actually that these skeletons do not have any armor or weapons. We'll get to that probably in a later episode, but it is interesting to note, no doubt about. So now, on to the randomizer. Let's do this again, and you just saw a creeper died there, and a bunch of creepers died here. Let's see that again. So, for every player that's in the arena, 1 creeper dies. Now, that creeper, I think it's right there? No. Yeah. It has a custom loot table, a death loot table of Zelda.rng with R1. So it's random 1. we have two different random sets. We have random 1 and random 2. Now this I wrote in raw JSON, and it essentially gives the creeper 4 different drops. You can think of each drop of the creeper as a random number that's being dropped. So when the creeper dies, it can drop either a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. Now, while those are items, they're essentially numbers with how I'm using it. So, that number that it just dropped, 1, 2, 3, or 4, determines how many creepers over here spawn. So when a creeper over here spawns, we basically run the same thing, except we're running R3, random 3. Now that table, R3, has, I think, 15 different items that can be dropped. Each of those will correlate to a different mob over here, making the mob choice be random. But as you noticed, between 1 and 3 skeletons of each type can spawn. If we see this again, there was a 2. Sorry if that's hard to see, but, so yeah, you can see a 1, a 2, or a 3 of each skeleton type spawns. So, what are we doing in here to make that happen? So, to do this, we can see in here, we are actually finding the item type. So, I can actually demonstrate this through here. So, raw chicken. There we go. So, you can see if I drop 1 raw chicken, 1 skeleton is spawning. But if I drop 2 raw chicken, 2 skeletons are spawning. If I drop 3, then 3 are spawning. So, the creeper's loot table tells it can drop 15 different types of items, all of these along here, but it can also drop between 1 and 3 of each type of item. So that's the mob spawning system. I'm sorry if I just went completely over your heads with how it actually works, but one more thing to note, it's a little inefficient how I'm actually doing this, but I couldn't figure out a better way to do this. Because sometimes the items would stack up and other times they wouldn't. So like in this case, I just look for a count of 1 and then spawn 1 skeleton. And then I look for a count of 2, spawn 2 skeletons. And yeah, these are just conditional command blocks, so this has to happen before these can happen. So it's kind of a little hacky, but it works. And then the last thing, you can see there's redstone blocks flashing. That's technically bad, but it actually is good. Basically, all of these are they all need redstone to function. And what I found out was that if I didn't do that, if I just let them all run, the world got pretty laggy, because the amount of ticks that had stuff happen in them was a little too immense, so then the server or whatever would just start skipping them, which is not a good thing. Okay, on to the timer. Okay, so the timer should be a lot simpler than the rest of this, and that's because it's simply a number that counts. Now, it executes a random player that's in game mode 2, or the closest player, one of those two, and then it will just tell them to reduce 1 from this armor stand's total timer score. When it reaches 0, it summons the wave and resets the timer to 60. So you can see when I'm in game mode 2, it is counting down, and it is this value right here. So now it goes up to 60, starts counting down, but when those skeletons go away, and it should have just realized by now that we're on peaceful mode and those skeletons are gone, it will give you a small amount of time, and then it will jump back down to 7. It also, so that means that, like, say you were to die to the skeletons really quickly, that it would reset it down to 7, but not count any lower than 7. So this will just keep doing that, because essentially I'm making it think I'm killing all the mobs. even though they're just not spawning in. So that's how the timer works. Then we just have some title commands that show up whenever you actually have the right score. And that's really all there is to it. Now the last thing obviously to show off would be the wave reward, and this is actually really simple, so let's demonstrate it. So we are constantly updating the player's score by moving their reward value into their total rupee count. So I think I should just be able to scoreboard players set admins wave reward. If I set this to like 100, it will drain into my total rupees. And then we just have a title command, two title commands actually, a title and a subtitle that are displaying the objective. So objective wave reward. And they're on half-tick clocks, so they're running at the same speed as this, and then that way they actually constantly update. Now when your wave reward equals 0, it teleports you to spawn. Now there is going to be some tweaking I need to do because currently it doesn't give you enough time to actually read off your reward, so I will fix that at some point. But I think that pretty much sums up all the redstone behind the arena. One thing I would like to quickly say, all of this redstone is completely multiplayer compatible, obviously, but it also is completely movable, because this is just spawning the skeletons up by 3, and then this puts the skeletons into the location, making it so that I literally do not, I could just copy all of this redstone, paste it into my next arena, and boom, there's the redstone for it. Obviously there's a little bit of calibration I need to do because, well, I need to set the teleport location and do a little bit of fine-tuning with the timer to actually get it to work with its own armor stand. But yeah, that is my redstone. I hope you have enjoyed the episode. If you have, make sure to leave a like, and I'll see you guys all in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to download the map, there's a Planet Minecraft page link in the description below.